The man barely raises his hand, yet every top-tier mage in the room freezes in disbelief, because he just cast magic without saying a single spell. The sight is beyond anything anyone present can comprehend. What they don't know is that in my past life, I had already mastered the study of magic, yet I chose a different path. By the age of 30, I stood at the very peak of the sword path, slaying every demon that threatened this continent. But my greatest regret was never being able to use magic. Mages draw mana from the gilded ether to manifest supernatural wonders, while swordsmen forge their power from within, unleashing extraordinary skill. On this continent, the path of magic and the path of the sword are born opposites. I chose the sword, which meant I could never touch magic. Truth is, I never truly loved the sword. It was my father who made that choice for me. I thought I would be bound to this blade for the rest of my life, until I died on some battlefield. But fate has given me a second chance. The scene shifts. I find myself back at the age of 14. I stare at the familiar yet distant village before me, unable to believe it's real. While I'm still standing there in a daze, my hand brushes against an envelope. I look at it, and something feels oddly familiar. They're invitation letters from the Magic Academy and the Sword Academy. I stare at my own reflection in the water. Am I really going to choose the sword again? Just then, familiar footsteps approach from behind. I turn around. Sure enough, it's my stern and commanding father. I jump to my feet with a start. Father speaks sternly. You've been getting arrogant about your skills lately. Your training has been slipping. I'm not arrogant. I'm struggling painfully with one question. Should I tell him about my longing for magic? My father is a master of the sword, with countless disciples under him. As his son, I began training in the sword path from a very young age. One day, I excitedly told my father that someone had shown me magic, and that I wanted to wield such breathtaking, radiant magic of my own. Father's face went cold as stone. Magic is a trick for the weak. You are my son. In this lifetime, you will carry only a sword. His words were shackles around my wrists. But this time, I will break them with my own hands. I've had enough. It's time to walk the path I truly desire. My mind is made up. I will become a mage. In my past life, my father forcibly awakened my sword aura. So this time, to stop history from repeating, I have to master magic first. So I head into the forest, searching for a secluded spot to practice. I find a large boulder and sit beneath it, recalling the method a mage once taught me in my past life. That mage told me that mana fills the air all around us, and that, as long as I can sense it, I should be able to draw it into my mana circuit. I'm no longer a sword saint, but my senses from that life still live in this body. I should be able to feel the invisible current of mana flowing through me. I sit cross-legged on the stone. A violet energy swirls around me as the power of my past life begins to stir in this new one. A faint and unfamiliar sensation reaches me. I feel the flow of mana. I clench my fist in excitement. I did it. Suddenly, I sense an unfamiliar presence slowly closing in around me. Curious, I step deeper into the forest. Yet once inside, I can't sense any living creature at all. Then, just as I press forward, an invisible force slams into me and sends me flying. My mind goes blank. I crash to the ground on my knees. The stone figure has come alive, cracks glowing with light seeping through. What in the world is this thing? I'm still trying to make sense of it all when a woman steps out from behind the boulder. I recognize her instantly. She's the one who taught me magic in my past life. Her name is Merlin. Merlin demands to know what I'm doing here. Did I come to steal her research? I drop to one knee, eyes locked on her. Fate has brought me to her once again. Her gaze turns cold. If you want to stay alive, she warns, choose your next words very carefully. I've heard of her legend on countless battlefields. In the brutal, frozen north, she alone held up an entire army, with nothing but her golem at her side. She could hold off thousands of soldiers. The scene shifts. She sits upon a throne, eyes cold as ice, studying me. My wrists are bound in icy shackles. Of all the ways I imagined meeting her again, this was not one of them. She looks down at me from above and asks which faction I belong to. When I say nothing, she snaps her wand with irritation and begins chanting a spell. A crimson magic array blazes to life around me, and the shackles on my wrists snap tighter. I speak quickly. I didn't resist when you captured me. I'm not your enemy. She rises, raises her wand, and brings it down toward me. Farewell, nameless mage. A pale golden light spreads along the length of the wand, and the wand crashes down onto my head. I kneel on the ground, unable to move a single inch. I shout, I've already told you I am not a mage. At my words, she freezes. A knowing smirk tugs at the corner of Merlin's lips. What a pitiful excuse. Then she lightly presses one finger to the top of my head. Her eyes go wide. She stares at me in disbelief. She can sense it. There is no mana flowing through my mana circuit at all. Who would have thought that? One second she's ready to kill me, and the next she's setting a cup of coffee in front of me. She says with a haughty tilt of her chin, I was wrong just now, but don't expect an apology. The scene shifts. The two of us are now sitting quietly on a sofa, talking, when I find out she goes by the name Isabel. At the Magic Academy, my eyes go wide. If I can learn from her at the very academy she teaches in, I might be able to channel mana into my circuit. I turn to her with a pleading look and ask her to teach me how to manifest mana within my body. You can't even sense mana, and you want me to teach you? You're nothing but a waste. Sweat runs down my cheek, but I have to convince her today, no matter what. Then, I notice something wrong with the golem beside her. The golem picks up the coffee, apparently to refill a cup, but instead tips the whole thing right over Isabel's head. I cry out in surprise, "Isabel, are you alright?" It turns out the circuit near the golem's right shoulder is blocked, which caused the malfunction. Coffee drips down Isabel's face, but she stares at me with amazement. "How did you know my golem was broken?" I say, a little awkwardly. "I can see mana with my eyes." She takes my hand and holds it for a full 3 seconds. Slowly, the shock fades from her face. The corners of her mouth curve into a smile as she agrees to teach me. "Oscar, you've managed to spark my interest. I hope you won't disappoint me." The next day, I follow Isabel into the Magic Academy. As long as you're alive, mana is already flowing naturally inside your body. She picks up a piece of chalk and draws on the board, showing how mana flows through the circuit. All you have to do is feel the circulating power inside you, then imagine it flowing into this magic formula. She tells me that learning to control mana like this usually takes at least a month. She hands me a magic scroll inscribed with specific incantations. I take the scroll with excitement. I'll give it everything I've got. Right away, I throw myself into practicing with the scroll. I try to feel the power circulating inside me, but nothing comes. Then an idea strikes me. All I have to do is pull my awareness inward, the same way I used to when training my sword aura. I shut my eyes and picture myself training my sword aura. I can feel my awareness beginning to separate from my body. Then, all at once, I can feel it. Mana flowing through me. Isabel was right. The mana was here all along. Learning to control mana is like learning to walk on newborn legs. Only by moving your body do you finally stand on your own. Isabel stares at me in disbelief. "You actually did it." In the world of magic, the mana mastered by the very elite far surpasses anything ordinary mages can achieve. I look up at the magic blooming across the sky. So this is what magic feels like. She never expected I would grasp it on the very first try. She slaps me hard on the back. "Unbelievable. You activated the magic formula on your first attempt." But I speak up. That magic just now was not beautiful. I remember the magic I saw as a child, blazing and breathtaking, but what I just felt was something different entirely. I crouched down and studied the scroll, asking her if something might be off about this incantation. I look up at her. My question has left her with no answer. Then it hits me. I'm not the only person in this world who wants to become a mage. I want to be a mage who can cast magic that is truly blazing and breathtaking. She watches the longing on my face and suddenly says, "If you think there's something wrong with the magic formula, you can rewrite it yourself." I shoot to my feet. Unable to believe she means it, I immediately ask her how a magic formula is drawn. The scene shifts. My father walks through the shadowed corridor, sword in hand, then suddenly stops. He hears voices outside. It's the same guys who came after me, and they're talking about how I've become so powerful. They are my father's disciples. The moment my father was gone, they cornered me. They'd been looking forward to the academy break just for this. A chance to give me a very different kind of sword lesson. Once they entered the sword academy and awakened their sword intent, my father required them to spar with one another. So they turned to teaching me swordsmanship as a way to vent all their past frustrations. The short-haired boy raises his sword and demands I face him. I look at him and crook my finger with contempt. My swordsmanship is a gap you'll never bridge. Then I walk slowly toward the river, sword in hand, and hurl it into the water. The surface erupts in a great splash, and the sword slowly sinks to the bottom. What I just threw away feels like my entire past. I stand at the river's edge, looking out at the still surface, and make a decision. From this moment on, I will never wield a sword again. I will become a mage. The short-haired boy's eyes go wide. He can't believe what just happened. They burst out laughing. "You threw away your sword. Are you planning to run?" Suddenly, the short-haired boy swings his sword at my back. Looking at what's coming, I feel no panic at all. He's reinforcing his body with sword aura, but I simply rotate my body with ease, and his blade cuts through nothing but air. I look at him and say, "Not even close. You have to treat the sword as an extension of your own body, not a tool in your hand." The short-haired boy attacks, in a fury, slashing wildly, but not a single strike lands. Still not giving up, he leaps into the air and brings his sword down on me. I send him flying with one punch, leaving him unable to stand. I look at him sitting in the dirt, all that arrogance gone now. Yet he still hurls insults at me, shouting that I'm a coward. I drive my fist down onto his head, and he doesn't get up again. Only now does it sink in. He isn't facing a fool who threw away his sword. He's facing something that can crush every shred of his pride without even trying. The others scramble to drag the short-haired boy away. I glance at the sword he left behind. He won't be bothering me for a while. Back in the corridor, my father heard their conversation and steps out to find out what happened. They all rush to tell him what went down between them and me, but none of them dare to say that I actually beat them. Father fixes them with a hard stare and presses them for the truth. Finally, the short-haired boy tells him, "I threw away my sword, then defeated him with my bare hands." My father is stunned. He can't believe I took everyone down without a weapon. They finally understand that every taunt and jeer they threw at me has become a joke on themselves. My father tells them to tend to their wounds and not let this affect tomorrow's schedule. His disciples obey without question. My father stands in his deep purple cloak, sword in hand, gazing toward where the fight took place. A knowing smirk tugs at the corner of his mouth. It is time to grant him his sword intent. Isabel walks me through the origins of the magic formula in detail. If I want to learn more, she offers to lend me any book she has. The moment I hear that, I dash over to the bookshelf without a second thought. Take as many as you want. I don't need any of these books. Everything I know is already up here, she says, tapping her head. I hoist up a towering stack of books. Every single one related to magic formulas is mine. She stands with her hands on her hips. You're not actually taking all of those, are you? I was just saying it. I didn't expect you to actually take me seriously. Just as I'm heading out the door with the books, she suddenly calls after me. Now that your mana circuit is active, you must be careful around sword aura. It could kill you. Arms full of books. I stop dead in my tracks at her words. My father comes to mind unbidden. The scene shifts. I ride on horseback, gazing at a distant village. The familiar surroundings feel like stepping back in time. It's been a long time since I last saw my father. His hair has gone white, and he lies weak in bed. When he sees me, his voice lifts with emotion. Oscar, you finally came. He raises his hand, beckoning me closer. He has something to say. As I lean down, he says, you truly had the talent I always believed you had. The sword was always the right path for you. He places his hand on my shoulder and gives it a gentle pat. It takes me back. He used to do the same thing when I was a child. He was the one who pushed me onto that road paved with blood and glory, and in doing so, led me to a path of utter isolation. The scene snaps back. I'm 14 again, staring at the acceptance letter in my hand, looking at the familiar name of the Sword Academy. This time, I'm saying goodbye. Father, this time, I will make you agree to let me enter the Magic Academy. Inside the hall, my father stands by a fire with his longsword, waiting for me. I walk toward him, acceptance letter in hand. I need you to sign this for me. Without his signature, I can't get into the Magic Academy. Father looks at me, puzzled. What is this? Something like this. I can sign any time. I eagerly hold it out to him, a weight already lifting from my chest. He takes it from my hands and opens it. His eyes go wide. This is not a Sword Academy letter at all. Oscar, why would you want to study magic? You were born my son. You grew up on the edge of a blade. I look at him, deflated. Do you remember when I told you I wanted to use magic? In anger, my father throws the Magic Academy letter to the ground. He points at me with a hard look. You were a child then. I dismissed it as nonsense. He shoves his hand toward my shoulder. You are not allowed to study magic. But the moment his hand touches my shoulder, he feels something strange. The mana within me sends him reeling backward. He looks at me in fury. You've already taken hold of mana. I did, because it was the only thing that could truly convince him to let me study magic. What are you trying to prove? Why do you need to convince me? Oscar, I already know. You took down my disciples with your bare hands. That proves you have a gift for the sword. I know I have talent for the sword, but I still want to study magic. Father raises his voice. You don't understand. If you stay on the path of the sword, you will succeed. I believe you may be right, but my mind is made up. Success with the sword cannot bring me happiness. At my words, he falls still, staring at me blankly. He presses a hand to his forehead and murmurs to himself. So that's what it was. I study his expression. Has he actually agreed? Then suddenly my father raises his hand to cover half his face, and a wild grin spreads across his lips. Cold sweat slides down my cheek. Father draws his sword. If you insist on going down the wrong path, I'll beat some sense into you. One day you'll thank me for it. I say coldly. That day will never come. I take out the Sword Academy letter. Father, I will never choose the sword again. And I throw it into the burning furnace beside us. Father stares at me in disbelief, and says as he walks, Fine, I want to see whether you can actually learn magic. Suddenly he draws his sword. The sound of steel leaving its sheath cuts through the air. He hurls a spiral sword aura straight at me. A cool smile crosses my lips. I turn my body with ease and the sword aura passes right by me, because I can read every move he makes. Even wrapped in sword aura, his attack is as clear to me as if I were holding it in my own hand. He was the one who taught me this when I was a child. It's carved into my bones. Fragments of memory flash through me, and the past overlaps with what's happening now. Father charges again, sword in hand. His sword aura crushes everything in its path. His sword aura drives me back. There's no denying it. My father is the standard every swordsman measures themselves against. Father looks at me and says, You're no slouch either. There isn't a second person in the entire guild with talent like yours. He holds out his hand. Stop being stubborn. Come back and continue your sword training. Is this your way of telling me to give up because you can't hit me? Nonsense, you fool. That's not who I am. Father, for you, talent seems to matter above all else. But I have something I absolutely cannot give up either. I reach into my pocket and pull out something that looks like a pen. Father scoffs. What is that thing? Are you planning to use that as a sword? It's a beginner's magic wand. I look at the magic wand in my hand, remembering what Isabel said. Using magic requires knowledge, and right now I don't have that knowledge yet, but I'm not afraid, because neither does my father. He has absolutely no idea what I'm about to do. As I pick up my bag and prepare to head to the Magic Academy, I hear familiar footsteps behind me. I turn around. Sure enough, it's my father. Seeing me about to leave for the Magic Academy, he speaks. There are people in this world who have spent just as many years mastering magic as you have spent training with the sword. I have no right to tell you what to choose, but I expect you never to bring shame upon yourself. I meet his eyes with steady resolve. I'll be fine. After all, nothing in this world is more terrifying than you. Father lets out a small laugh. Am I really that frightening to you? I leave my father's words behind and shoulder my bag. This time, at last, the choice is mine. The scene shifts. I pick up a piece of paper. It reads that Asaf has left Soror. That means I can finally take the magic entrance exam. This tower that pierces the sky is the pinnacle that countless mages spend their whole lives looking up at. Inside, students each hold their magic wands, practicing magic with their books open before them. Then I spot a group of small performers playing music, cheerfully welcoming the new students. So this is the Imperial Coke Academy of Magic. The atmosphere is nothing like the Sword Academy. I study the performers in front of me. Something about them feels familiar, because they look similar to golems, but not quite the same. While I'm still puzzling over it, a familiar voice comes from behind me. If you keep dawdling, you'll be late for enrollment. It's Isabel. I tell her happily that I haven't wasted a single moment, and I can do far more now than before. She says with a smile, "Is that so? Then you'd better impress me later." She tells me there's a magic selection exam taking place over there. New students are divided into 2 classes based on whether they possess mana, but above both of those classes is a special one for the exceptionally gifted, called Stage 1. This exam is simply a way to find and sort the talent. I say with excitement, I want to take that exam too, but she tells me, you should stay out of the Stage 1 exam. The students who make it into Stage 1 are monsters. Every single one of them is elite, raised in magic from birth. Isabel looks at me and says, you simply don't qualify. But I act as though I didn't hear her, eyes bright. That means I can study advanced magic there. She cradles her head in exasperation. It seems like nothing I say gets through to you. She pats me on the shoulder. If you're that curious, go see for yourself. 2 students are dueling inside the exam hall, with a crowd gathered outside watching. The short-haired boy raises his wand toward the sky and casts. His magic strikes the target. He pumps his fist in delight. I won! I'm getting into Stage 1, so the exam is to hit a target with magic. If that's all it is, I can do that. The words stun everyone around me, but all I can see is the door to advanced magic swinging open. From behind me comes a sharp, contemptuous laugh. A silver-haired boy says coldly, a commoner like you has no place being here. I quickly explain, I came because I heard any new student could participate. They whisper among themselves at my words. It seems like this really isn't a place I belong. So this is what Isabel meant. In this class, anyone who isn't of noble birth is pushed aside. Then the silver-haired boy shoves me aside and tells me to stand back and watch him take the exam. The magic instructor checks the scroll for the silver-haired boy's name, confirming his eligibility. I watch his back, full of envy that he gets to compete. The silver-haired boy raises his magic wand. The top tier belongs to those who have dedicated everything to magic since birth. He unleashes his magic, and his power is the ability to freeze all things. Every student in the room is stunned. Without exception. So am I. I can't believe he's this powerful. Everyone gasps. That's the Jealousy clan for you. And that isn't even his full power. The silver-haired boy says with a lofty air, those who cannot cast respectable magic are not welcome here. I look at him and say, is that all you've got after pouring everything into magic? Not that impressive. The silver-haired boy stares at me in shock, unable to believe what he just heard. I act as though I've already moved on and walk straight past him. Just moments ago I was worried about whether I could make it into Stage 1. Watching your magic has given me back some confidence. I take out my beginner's magic wand and step forward. The students whisper among themselves, is he really going to compete with a beginner's wand? The silver-haired boy watches me with amusement. There's no way you'll beat me with that thing. He says with total confidence, my magic is flawless, because I am of the Frost clan, Glorisis. Someone like him, a commoner, is no concern of mine at all. The magic instructor looks at the silver-haired boy and says, I didn't expect to see someone cast magic this polished at this stage. It seems he's the obvious choice to represent the new students. I tune out all the noise around me and focus entirely on lining up my aim. Students in the crowd shout, if you can't hit it, just give up already. Stop wasting everyone's time. Even the magic instructor has written me off, but I hold my ground, biding my time, waiting for the right moment. My eyes lock onto the target. Now! With a sharp burst, golden light blazes from my magic wand and shoots forward. I watch the struck objects fall to the ground. I did it. The magic instructor stares at me in shock. What did you just do? I couldn't even follow it. Students point at me. Did he just hit 5 targets? With nothing but basic magic? The silver-haired boy scoffs. That's it? I was expecting something worth watching. Watching that was a complete waste of my time. I turned to the magic instructor. Did I fail? The instructor calls out loudly. You hit 5 targets. Without question, you pass. I have finally passed the Stage 1 magic exam. I can study advanced magic now. I walk along the path of the Magic Academy, heading toward the classroom. I stop dead, raise my eyes, and speak in a low voice. Who's there? I can sense that this mage is extraordinarily powerful. His spell can make objects move on their own. He raises his hand and a magic blade erupts into existence. The power behind it is no joke. He walks toward me. step by step, and greets me first. He turns out to be the dean of the Imperial Coke Academy of Magic of the Balmus Empire. I bow in apology at once, but the dean just bursts out laughing. I was the one spying on you just now. You caught me that fast. Sharp eyes. My eyes go wide and cold sweat breaks out immediately. The dean had been watching me this whole time, and now the dean has his eye on me. This is serious trouble. Then, something catches my eye. A familiar necklace hanging from his neck. My blood runs cold. I stare at the pendant on the dean's chest, glowing with a dim light. Memories from the moment before my death and my past life detonate inside me. The dean extends his hand for a greeting. I clench my fist, hold back my rage, and slowly raise my hand. I grip his hand hard, knuckles white, the urge to kill buried in my palm. A meaningful smile tugs at the dean's lips, but beneath it, his eyes hold a test I can't yet read. My eyes go wide, and cold sweat breaks out. He recognized me all along. Then a force that crushes everything explodes outward, and I'm blasted off my feet. I crash hard into the ground. Every bone in my body feels like it's coming apart. The dean speaks from the shadows. Your ability to read a situation is as sharp as ever. He flies toward me, wand in hand. Or is this nothing more than instinct? I grip what's in my hand and shout, "Are you here to kill me? Do you really think you can beat me with a little wand like that?" The dean flicks his wrist downward. A blue blade of light slashes toward me. I throw myself sideways. The blue blade grazes my clothes and flies past, blasting a crater into the ground behind me. A blue barrier crashes down over me, trapping me completely with no way out. I grit my teeth. My eyes go cold. If that's how it is, then I'll fight back with everything I have. I press my fingertips to the ground. A golden magic array hums to life, runes blazing along every line. This force is enough to blow that barrier apart. A flame bullet launches instantly, fire exploding all the way along its path, aimed to shatter the barrier and the old man behind it alike. The flames hit the dean dead on. He's sent flying, struggling to even stay upright in the air. The impact of the flame bullet freezes the dean in place. His eyes go wide, his face written over with pure shock. The dean snaps back, and in the next instant raises his wand, firing a wave of blue magic straight down at me. My eyes sharpen. I grab my magic wand and brace to meet it head on. I realize I can't break through the spell, so I immediately redirect my attack at the dean himself. The dean looks completely baffled. He didn't expect me to come straight at him, and I'm completely baffled too, trying to figure out what he's playing at. The next moment, I'm crouched on the ground, still catching my breath, leaves flying in every direction from the shockwave. The dean taunts me, "Out of mana already? You had your chance to finish me. Now it's your turn to die." I say weakly, "Dean, you have to be joking. You were testing me. What was the point of all this?" The dean strokes his beard and says unhurriedly, "As expected, you figured it out. Many people here treat magic as a privilege, but the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, and opportunity slips away. I wanted you to feel that firsthand. Through this test, I find I may have underestimated just how deep your potential runs." I ask quickly, "So if I stand out too much, I'll be targeted like this. Is that what you're telling me, Dean?" The dean crosses his arms and says, without even looking up, "Yes." My expression darkens. So this world does not allow gifted mages to exist openly. The mages in my past life said the same thing. Someone with talent like mine had no right to exist. The dean says, arms still crossed. Others have said the same before. I snap my head up, voice full of urgency. "Dean, tell me who they were." The dean warns me, if you learn their identities, danger may come for you as well. No matter what happens, the first thing is to build the power to protect yourself. I murmur quietly, "I will protect myself. I will." Suddenly, a deep blue glow rises around the dean. He raises his hand and a barrier takes shape around us. "From today, I will teach you how to gain the power to protect yourself." In my past life, I lay in a pool of blood. Crimson spread across my face, and my consciousness sank bit by bit. If not for that final surge of rage, I would have died completely. By the time I come back to myself, cold sweat is already running down my temples. The dean's voice pulls me back. "Stop thinking about the past. Starting now, I'll show you how to protect yourself." I look at the pendant around the dean's neck. So from the very beginning, I was your piece on the board. I finally can't hold back. That pendant. What exactly is it? The dean taps the pendant lightly with one finger. "This concerns you." I stare at the star pattern magic array blazing open above me. I feel as though I'm seeing my past life again. The dean's words land like a hammer blow. Magic saint means the same thing as sword saint. It is the highest rank. The dean leans down. "I'm giving this to you now." I take it and look carefully. It's a golden badge, wrapped in a blue current of energy. The dean warns me, "Do not lose it. It is your only trump card." The dean's figure vanishes entirely into the current. I stand there, golden badge in hand, and speak to the empty air. "I will protect myself. I promise." This is the dean's magic. Not a single ripple out of place in the way his mana flows. I rein myself back in sharply. Now is not the time for awe. I will work hard and master magic. I once thought that learning magic would be enough to satisfy me, but this time, I will surpass even the sword saint I once was. Back in his room, Oscar closes his eyes and focuses on his training. Blue mana erupts around him. The power of the Sword Saint is returning. Just as this power fully stabilizes, a thought suddenly flashes through his mind. Continuously releasing mana will expand the capacity his mana circuit can hold, he realizes in an instant. This is the key to growing stronger. All he needs now is a chance to gain real combat experience. He opens his eyes. He's still in his bedroom. Where is he supposed to find combat experience? He throws on his clothes, shoves the door open, and walks out. He strides forward with one thought burning in his mind. I will become powerful. The scene shifts. The noble banner of the elite class comes into view. The classroom erupts with chatter as students gossip among themselves. Did you hear? A commoner joined the class. The first commoner ever to enter the elite class. Rumor has it he bombed every single section of the exam. The silver-haired boy overhears and curls his lips into a sneer. He turns and says coldly, "How pathetic." At that moment, a dark figure appears in the doorway, footsteps drawing closer with each step. The students stand up in surprise as the newcomer walks in. The silver-haired boy turns to look, and a flash of killing intent crosses his eyes, his contempt for commoners plain to see. He shouts at the newcomer, "What are you doing here? What gives you the right to enter the elite class?" Oscar looks at their flustered faces and says calmly, "What's wrong? Why are you all so worked up?" He glances up and suddenly spots a familiar figure. A girl with twin ponytails and glasses sits high on a raised platform, absorbed in her book. Just then, a bookmark covered in daisy patterns drops to the floor with a soft thud. Oscar bends down and picks it up, a bookmark painted all over with daisies. He walks over to her, smiling. "Is this your bookmark?" The girl takes it, her eyes lighting up at once. "Thank you for picking it up." Oscar smiles at her delight. "Looks like you really love flowers." She looks up sharply, eyes going wide, and blinks. "How did you know?" "Because I think that's a beautiful flower. My name is Oscar. Nice to meet you. May I sit next to you?" She smiles and nods. "Of course. Please sit. I'm Lily Lore." Suddenly a voice rings out. "Looks like everyone is here. No one in sight." The students look around in alarm. Whose voice is that? The podium holds nothing but a single book. No one there at all. Then the book on the podium begins to flip wildly, every page packed with dense text, and pages swirl through the room on a wave of golden magic. Students cry out in fright. In the middle of the chaos, the sharp click of high heels cuts through the noise. The footsteps stop. A woman with an overwhelming presence steps forward. "Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth, and I will be overseeing this elite class. You have all passed the selection exam, which means you have already proven your talent. Starting next week, we will begin live combat training against monsters." Oscar never expected to get real combat experience this quickly. This is exactly what he wanted. Ruth lays out the requirements. To keep each squad evenly matched in strength, we will form teams of 5. The students look puzzled. Evenly matched? Does that mean by magical power? No, it is measured by the total amount of mana your body can hold. They exchange glances. And how exactly do you measure that? The corner of Ruth's mouth lifts in a slow, unsettling smile. The magic array on her back suddenly flares, and she adjusts her glasses with a sheepish look. "Well, I already finished measuring, actually. Students, each of you has a golden orb hovering above your head. That orb represents your total mana capacity, but the brightness varies from person to person. The brighter the orb, the stronger your mana. The dimmer it is, the lower your capacity." Ruth scans the orbs above the students' heads and notices several have reached mage level, though she wonders about that commoner. Oscar stares up at his own faint orb, curious what this magic is actually measuring. The class bursts into laughter. "A commoner is a commoner. We're not grouping with him." Oscar hears the jeers, but there's no time to dwell on it. First things first, who is he going to team up with? Just then, a hand lands on his shoulder. He turns around, surprised. "Would you like to team up with me?" It's his seatmate, Lily. Oscar's face lights up. "Absolutely. Girls who love flowers really are angels." But Lily turns serious. "We'll have to ask Levin first." Oscar blinks. "Who's Levin?" The red-haired boy nearby crosses his arms and scoffs. "Who told you to invite him into our squad?" Oscar steps forward quickly. "My name is Oscar. If you'd let me join, I'd be truly grateful." Levin studies him for a long moment. Just when Oscar thinks he's about to be turned down, Levin slams his palm on the desk. "Protecting the weak is a noble's duty. Fine, you're in. Consider yourself the luggage carrier." The moment Levin finishes speaking, everyone around them turns to watch. Lily comes over to reassure Oscar. "Don't let them get to you. Nobles have been training in magic since childhood. The gap is natural." Walking alongside her, Oscar says, "I don't care what they say or think. I'll prove myself through action." After announcing the requirements for the combat training, Ruth turns and leaves the classroom. Someone calls after her, "Professor Ruth, wait a moment." Ruth turns around and looks at him coldly. "Is there something you need? I just want to ask, why is that commoner placed in the elite class? He can barely use magic, and his mana is pathetically low. He doesn't belong here. Someone with 0 experience will fall behind immediately." Ruth smiles and asks in return, "A commoner? Are you referring to Oscar?" "I don't see it that way. He only awakened his magic 6 months ago. Do you still think he doesn't belong?" The silver-haired boy's expression freezes. That arrogance he wore so proudly, shattered by a single sentence from Ruth. Ruth's voice carries one final thought. "He will grow stronger. In a few months, Oscar will be saying exactly what you just said. That is the real reason we conduct field training. The silver-haired boy watches Ruth walk away in silence, unable to believe that the commoner he dismissed will, in just a matter of months, surpass the noble cultivation he is so proud of. The scene shifts. Lily brings Oscar to the library and fills him in on how the academy works. Most nobles have been training since childhood. By now, the majority hold at least proficient mage-level mana, Oscar says with admiration. Proficient mage level means they're ready for real monster combat. Reaching that at their age is genuinely impressive. Lily then asks, Oscar, how long have you been studying mana? He answers, 6 months. Lily stomps her feet with excitement, pumping her fist. You're incredible. 6 months, and you've already reached this level. She leans forward and grabs his sleeve. How did you do it? Are you some kind of genius? Oscar looks at the excited Lily and can't help but smile. Maybe this really is my gift. Then something occurs to him. Who is that red-haired guy? Lily explains patiently. His name is Levin. The Levin family is one of the most prominent noble clans around, and surrounding families compete to stay in their favor, hoping for their protection. Levin may be rough around the edges, but his strength is real. When things get serious, he will protect us. Oscar listens, exhales quietly, and closes his eyes. He won't let this rare opportunity slip by. Before long, the day of the combat assessment arrives. Students gather in small groups, buzzing about what might happen. Professor Ruth's voice cuts through. All right, everyone, let me run through the training one more time. This forest is home to low-level monsters. Your mission is to survive one night inside. This is the practical follow-up to your selection exam. Each squad leader will receive one spell paper containing a defensive barrier and a flare spell. Use it if things turn critical. The students murmur among themselves. Sounds simple enough. If monsters attack, just use the paper, right? But Professor Ruth's voice turns ice cold. Any squad that does will be removed from the elite class. The room goes dead silent. The news lands like a hammer blow, and students cry out in disbelief. Every face goes tense. It makes clear just how much it means to a noble to stay in the elite class. Levin crosses his arms and declares with full confidence, as long as I'm here, we are not retreating. I am a noble. I will protect every single one of you. The whistle blows. The forest mission begins. Everyone huddles to confirm directions before setting out. Suddenly, a massive backpack hits the ground with a heavy thud. Levin plants his hands on his hips and looks at Oscar. Hey, stop staring. Go carry the luggage. Lily says, that's way too much to carry, but Oscar takes the pack. I've got it. I said I would from the start. Levin watches and snorts. I like people who know their place. Oscar carries the enormous pack and walks behind Levin alongside Lily. Without looking back, Levin says flatly, don't slow me down. Not long after, the boy who had been talking so big is drenched in cold sweat, barely standing. The others crowd around him with concern. He waves them off, too proud to admit it. The terrain here is rough. It's difficult to walk. Oscar smiles and says, can you even stand? Want me to help you up? Levin grits his teeth at the jab. He springs up, shoves Oscar aside and shouts, shut up! I don't need you. I'm fine on my own. Lily is also struggling with the terrain, and Oscar quickly steadies her to keep her energy from draining. He watches the others gasping for breath, while he himself feels completely at ease, not tired in the slightest. They walk for half a day without encountering a single monster, likely because this zone is managed by the academy. Then Oscar's eyes go wide. He sees blue mana in the air. A veil of blue mana surrounds them, and a white light glows directly ahead. They move toward it. Oscar's nerves snap to attention. This barrier feels similar to the one in Isabel's workshop. He shouts out loud, stop moving! There's danger up ahead. But Levin fires back arrogantly. Who do you think you are, giving me orders? I want to see exactly what's up there. The magic array beneath their feet suddenly lights up, and a mysterious force pulls them in. A crimson glow wraps around them all. Oscar stomps down on the magic array, and the red runes shatter on impact. Lily grips her wand and cries out, what's happening? Oscar realizes this is space-altering magic. They have to break out now, or they'll be trapped forever. He tightens his grip on his wand and shouts, everyone, ready your wands! The space shatters all at once, red light raining down like shards of glass. As the magic array breaks apart, they can finally see their surroundings clearly. Lily turns to Oscar. This isn't the forest we were just in. Suddenly they notice something on the trees ahead. Moving closer, they find numbers carved into the bark. The students stare at the markings, and it hits them all at once. This is Training Ground 5. Oscar watches them murmur among themselves. This is the senior students' training ground. How did they end up here? He thinks back to the moment he stomped on the magic array, shattering the runes instantly. Was that magic array a trap someone deliberately set? He turns to Levin urgently. We need to use the spell paper and call for help. Now. Levin takes the spell paper and examines the runes written on it carefully. Then, he tears it apart. Oscar stares at him, speechless. The other students shout at him. What are you doing? That was our only way to call for help. But Levin dismisses them, convinced this is just a leftover transport array the academy forgot to clear. He announces with complete confidence. This is an opportunity. If we train here, the academy will think even more highly of us. Before Oscar can argue, Levin is already walking forward, waving the group along. Let's move. Lily grips her wand and pleads with Oscar not to leave her side. Oscar follows at the back of the group, watching Levin's retreating figure, and lets out a quiet sigh. Then Oscar freezes mid-step, his pupils contracting sharply. A wave of danger is closing in. The next second, wolves burst out of the trees, packs of them, the glow on their heads flickering like ghost fire. The lead four-eyed giant wolf lunges to the front, its fangs almost grazing their faces. The students stumble backward in terror. Levin's eyes burn with bloodthirsty excitement. Perfect timing! Oscar pulls out his basic magic wand, ready to fight at a moment's notice. He's a little nervous, but this is exactly the real combat experience he has been looking for. Just as he's about to charge in, Levin shoves him aside. Commoner, stand back. Let me show you how a noble fights. Oscar stares at him blankly. So, how does a noble fight? The four-eyed giant wolf's roar hits them like a physical blow, and it launches into the air, lunging at the group. In that instant, Levin pulls his wand from his pack. He raises it high, eyes blazing with excitement. This is real combat. Levin grips his wand with both hands and drives it into the ground. The magic array beneath him ignites, flames racing through the runes. With a sharp crack, the ground explodes, sending rocks flying in all directions. The shockwave throws the wolf off its feet and sends it crashing backward. Levin drives his wand deep into the rubble, shoulders trembling, clearly drained of a significant amount of power. The other students quickly rally around him, channeling their magic to back him up. Blue light flares as they fall into formation, some attacking, others defending, moving as one. Oscar watches in genuine awe. So this is what nobles are. Their combat coordination is already at mage level. Levin roars. There are too many of them. A giant wolf suddenly lunges at one of the students, who drops his wand in fright and stumbles backward. He slips and falls, but the wolf isn't after him. The four-eyed wolf has locked on to Lily. It moves in silently behind her. Lily clutches her flowers, trembling. The wolf crouches low, its gaze pinning her in place. Lily chants a spell in a panic, and a wall of shattered rock rises between them, holding it back, for now. But a second later, the wolf surges forward again, its jaws wide open, fangs gleaming cold in the moonlight. Lily backs away desperately and slams into the rock wall behind her. Nowhere left to go. Oscar immediately chants his spell. A fireball erupts from his palm and rockets forward as a wave of searing heat. The fireball collides with the four-eyed wolf, engulfing its massive body in flames and slamming it into the ground. The four-eyed wolf lets out one last earth-shaking howl, then goes still. Lily throws her arms around Oscar, tears still on her face. That was terrifying. Thank you for saving me. Oscar quickly reassures her. It's okay. The four-eyed wolf has been taken down. The other students slump onto the rubble, gulping air. They have survived the battle in training ground 5. The scene shifts. Night has fallen. The group sits around a campfire while Oscar lies alone beneath a tree. Levin looks over at him and says dismissively, "You're lucky, commoner. You gotta watch us fight." Oscar smiles and says their teamwork was perfect. They pushed defensive magic to its absolute limit. Levin didn't expect that response. He gives an awkward nod, watching them work together. Oscar understands. Only by forging his own strength to its absolute hardest limit can he truly break through the ceiling of magical power. Lily walks over carrying 2 cups of water. "Thank you for saving me today. I was the one who told you not to leave my side, and somehow I ended up being the one you had to protect." Oscar takes a cup, smiling. "Don't worry about it. Protecting you is what I'm here for. But I do want to ask, when you use defensive magic during the fight, why did the strength vary each time?" Levin stares at him. "You really don't know? The closer the magic is to the caster, the stronger it is." Lily tries to reassure Oscar, but from a distance Levin sneers. "A commoner is a commoner." Lily explains patiently. "The farther magic travels from us, the more it dissolves back into the world. That's why spells eventually fade. Magic works by pouring the right amount of mana into a magic formula. If the mana and the formula don't match, things go wrong." Oscar turns this over in his mind. If that's how it works, there must be a way to improve the efficiency. Lily holds her cup and smiles. "I think I may have made mine a bit too strong." Oscar looks down at his cup, and his eyes go wide. Something clicks. Lily notices his expression and asks if he's all right. He watches the ripples spreading across the water. This is the key to amplifying the force filling a vessel. He tightens his grip on the cup, cold sweat forming at his temple. This follows the exact same principle as sword aura. Meanwhile, on the other side of the forest, a masked figure in black stands before a glowing magic array. Through the magic array, the masked figure watches Oscar and the other students in real time. He listens to Oscar's words and tightens his grip on the whip in his hand. The masked figure murmurs, "Worthy of the sword, Saint, but I'd rather you kept quiet from here on." Not far away, Professor Ruth stands by a campfire, watching the students who withdrew huddled together for warmth. After everything they endured during the day, their faces still carry the shadow of shock. Professor Ruth speaks with a note of satisfaction. "Only 20% withdrew. This year's teams are performing exceptionally well." Just then, a soft sound breaks the silence of the assessment ground. The shift is changing. A female professor steps forward, wand in hand. It is Professor Isabel. The 2 professors discuss the assessment while the students stare at Isabel in disbelief. Isabel gazes into the magic mirror at the students. "So this is the survival performance of this batch. Her eyes settle on the assessment footage, and she says quietly, "They performed quite well, worthy of the top tier." Then Isabel's expression turns serious. "Why can't I see Oscar and the others?" Professor Ruth comes clean. "The tracking familiar used for the broadcast has malfunctioned. Something about this is very wrong." The scene shifts. Oscar leans against a tree, staring quietly at the cup in his hand. Lily and the others rest by the campfire, talking over everything that happened during the day. Not far away, one student grips his wand and keeps a watchful eye on the surroundings. Oscar holds the cup calmly, but inside, sword intent is surging through him at full force. Every strand of sword intent is compressed and amplified, every ounce of power coiling in readiness. A fierce light flashes in his eyes. What if he could compress and amplify mana the same way he does sword intent? The next second, the mana inside him surges out of control. Even the air around him trembles from the force. Oscar lets out a low laugh. This is the power he has been looking for. Frantic footsteps erupt from deeper in the forest, and two students come scrambling toward them. Levin pats his chest and says with a swagger, "Another low-level monster? Leave it to me." The moment the words leave his mouth, a blinding wall of flame erupts behind him, its savage force tearing through the darkness. Levin shouts, "What is that?" Lily answers in a trembling voice, "A flame torrent." Then a massive stitched claw reaches out slowly from the darkness, and emerging behind it is a stitched dragon, its single eye glowing green, its presence enough to crush the entire forest. Levin and Lily stare at the scene in front of them, unable to believe their eyes. Oscar's expression turns grim, staring at the dragon. He knows. This assessment is about to become a fight to the death. The dragon snaps its massive jaws open, fangs gleaming cold, and lets out a savage roar. Levin shouts with a trembling voice, "How is there a dragon here? You'd need magic lord-class power to take that down." Oscar's eyes go sharp. This is no accident. Someone has had them in their sights all along. The students urge Levin to use the spell paper, only to realize he already tore it apart. Lily sees the situation and grips her wand tight, her face filled with despair. Oscar grits his teeth and says in a low voice, "We have no choice but to push forward. It's the only way we survive." Lily cries out in disbelief, "You want to fight a dragon?" The other students perk up at this. "With Levin's defensive magic, we can do it." Seeing no response from Levin, they suggest holding out under attack and waiting for the professors to arrive. Then Levin raises his wand and drives it hard into the ground. The magic array beneath him blazes to life as he bellows, "Earth Shield!" With a thunderous boom, a thick barrier rises up around him. The students shout in outrage, "What are you doing? You said you would protect us!" Levin gasps and snarls, "Idiots! That broken shield won't do anything against this. I am not dying here." Oscar and Lily exchange a glance. Oscar is right. If it has locked onto them, the only option is to charge. Lily tightens her grip on her wand, her eyes going hard. "Let's fight." She raises her wand and shouts, "Spear of the Earth, Dedrick!" A spear of rock surges up and drives straight at the dragon. The students watch, sweat and hope mixed on their faces. Did it work? The dragon doesn't go down. It rages even harder, swinging a massive claw down to crush them. Their faces go pale. Without high-level magic, they have no way to defeat this dragon. Lily turns to Oscar. "I'll draw its attention. Go find help, now." Oscar looks at Lily, his eyes full of resolve, and takes on the weight of that mission. The dragon slams a foot into the ground, releasing a terrifying shockwave, as if it means to grind them all to dust. The students collapse to the ground, voices shaking. "I don't want to die. It's all over." Suddenly the dragon blazes with blinding light and begins to devour the mana from the air around it. It feeds on earth mana as fuel. No wonder their attacks had no effect. Oscar smiles coldly to himself. So that's all a dragon has to offer. Blue light surges across his body, killing intent blazing in his eyes, and he throws himself at the dragon without hesitation. He raises his magic wand and faces the dragon's lethal breath head on. The dragon is draining every drop of mana it can reach, charging up for its ultimate attack. With a deafening boom, the dragon's jaws fly open and a torrent of flames pours out, enough to overturn the world. The noble students see this and scramble away screaming, faces twisted in terror. Oscar stands his ground, utterly calm. Lily lunges toward him in desperation. His eyes lock in. He shouts out loud, "Fireball! Flame domain!" A massive magic array detonates in front of him, the force of flame surging to its peak. A column of deep crimson fire rockets skyward and drives the dragon's breath straight back. With a thunderous impact, the crimson flames collide with the dragon and punch straight through it. The once unstoppable magic lord-class dragon is blown apart, sparks flying off its body as it crashes down from the sky. The noble students stare at the sight in front of them and scramble backward, unable to believe their eyes. Even Lily slumps to the ground, wand in hand, eyes wide, stunned, speechless. Oscar looks down at the fallen dragon and closes his faintly trembling hand. It is over. On the other side, the masked figure in black has watched everything unfold through the magic mirror. He watches the magic array Oscar unleashed and frowns. Where does this power come from? He narrows his eyes, his voice turning cold and venomous. Lucky for you today, but sooner or later you will be driven out of this academy for good. He gazes at Oscar in the mirror and lets out a soft, sinister laugh. Only those of noble blood deserve to wield power like this. Oscar stands amid the wreckage, slowly raising his hand, looking at the lingering warmth of flames still fading from his palm. He closes his still burning, fist. A rush of joy and excitement he can't contain rising inside him. Mana flows all around him, applying the same principles he used to refine sword aura to condense mana. This is his own path of magic. The dragon that seemed invincible just moments ago now lies with its head tilted, bleeding out, completely still. Two students stand dumbfounded, unable to accept that a commoner just defeated a magic lord-class dragon. Behind him comes a loud crack, and Levin bursts out from his earth shell. The hand holding his wand is shaking. He stares at the scene in front of him, unable to believe what he sees. He looks at Oscar's slender silhouette. He was saved by a commoner. Lily hurries over, face full of worry. Oscar, what just happened? Did you actually defeat the dragon? Oscar's legs give out, and he pitches forward, his mana completely exhausted. Lily screams and rushes to catch him. Oscar drops down, bracing his hands on his knees, breathing hard, feeling the crushing exhaustion of a drained mana supply. He grits his teeth. The magical backlash from that attack nearly tore him apart from the inside. Just then, heavy footsteps thunder out from the trees. They all look toward the source, faces filled with dread. Lily's hands tremble around her wand. Are there more monsters in the forest? A massive foot slams into the ground with a crash, sending tremors through the earth. I sensed the tremors from a transport array and came to investigate. Sure enough, there's quite a mess here. A woman stands on the shoulder of a stone golem, her smile wild and dangerous. Students, are you all still in one piece? Everyone stares at her in shock. The person who came is Professor Isabel. The moment Oscar sees her, the tension leaves his body all at once, and he passes out. Isabel turns and looks at the dead dragon on the ground. I will be questioning every one of you about exactly what happened here. Lily and the other students gather around the unconscious Oscar, faces full of panic and worry. Levin stands off to the side, watching coldly, as if none of this has anything to do with him. Isabel leans against the golem's shoulder, a knowing smile at the corner of her lips. Dawn is coming. It is time to settle the score. The next day, Oscar sits in the dean's office and tells him everything that happened. The dean exhales with a grim expression. To think something like this could happen right under the academy's nose. Oscar sits across from him, expression calm, waiting for whatever comes next. The dean's eyes go cold. It appears someone has infiltrated this academy with the sole purpose of targeting talented commoners. Oscar understands those words are aimed at him. He grits his teeth and stays silent. The dean watches Oscar's tense posture and says slowly, surviving was already more than enough. Oscar meets his gaze with steady eyes. I will become stronger. I've finally found my starting point. The dean doesn't look pleased by this. He lowers his head in silence. Given that actual harm has already been done, there is something I must tell you. Something that is not easy to say. The dean speaks from the shadows, his voice hard. You must leave the academy, and you must never touch magic again. Now that you have been targeted, this is your only path to survival. Countless people in this world live full and happy lives without magic. Magic is not everything. Oscar stares ahead, his mind in turmoil. Is he really never allowed to touch magic again? He thinks back to the moment he summoned magic for the first time. His eyes crinkled into crescents with a smile so wide, he could barely contain it. He clenches his fist and forces out through gritted teeth, I will never give this up. He wipes the sweat from his temple and speaks calmly but with purpose. I understand you are worried about my safety, but if whoever is targeting me is already inside this academy, then I have an idea.